Hi, Jax here with 3x3. Today I want to share a 3x3 method that I made recently called JLA. It is based on the Lau method, but with one major idea added. Instead of building everything fully aligned from the start, I use a pseudo 2x2x3 block that fixes the alignment at the end. So let's go through the idea step by step. Before explaining my version, here's the rough law of the original Lau method. The basic idea is to control edge orientation early, solve FCL in a structured way, then reduce the last layer into a more controlled state. While testing this method, I felt that if I could somehow use pseudo D-layer alignment, the block building part might become easier to visualize and faster to execute. So my current solving flow looks like this. Number 1. Pseudo 2x2x3 building. The first step is FB line. Here, I create a line on either the left side or the right side by filling the front and back edge slots on these side. For example, if I choose the left side, I want to solve the FL and BL slots. If I choose the right side, I solve FR and BR instead. The important thing is not that a whole bottom layer is solved. The goal is just to create the stable side line that I can build around, and this gives the rest of the solve a clear direction. The next is D-line. For this step, I choose any pair of opposite D color edges and place them as an FDBD line. For example, if white is on D face, both of these pairs can work. White orange edge and white red edge, or white green edge and white blue edge. The pair does not need to match the front or back face yet. So this is where the pseudo idea starts. I'm not trying to perfectly align the D layer immediately. I only need useful D line that can become part of the pseudo block. The third part and the final part of block building is the third line. Here I slot a matching corner edge corner 1x3x3 line into the D layer, and that creates the pseudo 2x2x3 block. At this point, the block may not be fully color aligned in the normal way, but structurally, I have a usable 2x2x3 block. Thus, this makes the pseudo 2x2x3 block. And this is the main idea of this method. Build the structure first and fix the final alignment later. Number 2. FCL and OLL. After the pseudo 2x2x3 block, the first thing I'm going to do is EEO, or should I say E-slice edge orientation. The goal is to insert any bad edges into the E slot that is located on the opposite side of the FB line. After that, I do the YD turn to bring the pseudo 2x2x3 block to the back side. This keeps the block out of the way and prepares the cube for the remaining edge orientation. Now we orientate the remaining 5 edges. This is the 5EO step. The cases are usually simple, and I use short algorithms based on where the bad edges are. For 3U1D, place the 3 bad U layer edges at UL, UF, and UR. Then use either M'U', or M'U', depending on the case. For 1U, 1D, place the U layer edge at the UB, like this. Then use one of these M-slice sequences to orient the edges. Now, the next one is the 2U0D. For opposite back edges, place them at UF and UB and perform the easiest OLL case. For adjacent bad edges, place them at the UF and UR and perform the opposite of the last one. Or do the U2 and perform the wide variant. Now, for the 4U0D, you can convert it into a 3U1D style case by doing M' U2 M U2, and then just perform any kind of 3U 1D case. So even though fiber EO sounds complicated, the actual recognition is pretty manageable once you group the case. After edge orientation, I solve the remaining slots. This is basically F2L, and you can implement any kind of additional thing like with a variation into this. Pairing can be a little difficult here because the pseudo block changes how the cube looks. So I recommend recognizing the pieces separately. After this, you can get either these kind of COLL plus PLL state or just PLL state. If you use the width variation correctly, this should just be PLL. If you solve F2L normally, then the last layer can become the COLL plus PLL. Okay. So this method involves good last slot control, but it does not absolutely require it. You can keep the method simple at first, then add with variation COLL or JLA later. The final step is ABF, which means align both faces. Because we used the pseudo D-layer alignment earlier, the cube may be solved structurally, but the U and D faces may still need a final adjustment. So at the very end, we align both faces, like this. And now the cube is solved. Again, the key idea is build pseudo structure early. Fix alignment at the end. This gives the solve more flexibility during block building, especially when the normal D-layer alignment would be awkward. Now I show a few example solves. I'm still not good at the third line step, but I think this part can be improved a lot by using rule-style block building knowledge. First example solve. For this first solve, I build it from the line on the right using these two edges. Like this. Then I create the D line using these two. Now I build the third line and use D2 to form the pseudo 2x2x3. EO is already solved here, so I need to adjust with YD. For EO, this is the 2U 0D adjacent case. Then I solve the FD and left slot. Like this. Now the right slot with room variation. And PLL. And lastly, ABF. Example solve 2. In this solve, I also build the FE line on the right again, pairing these two at the right. Then D line to form these two as the pair. Next is the third line pairing these three into here. Again, EEO is solved, and then solve 5EO as a 3U 1D case. Then FD and the left slot, and right slot. This gives the ZBLL case ABF. Example solve 3. For the third solve, I'll build the FMB line on the left by pairing these two. Then D line. Now I create the third line. This time I do EEO using this one. Then 5EO as a 1U 1D. Now FD and right sort. Then the left sort with rhythm variation. Then PLL. Then lastly ABF. So that is my current 3x3 method based on the Lau method. The biggest advantage is that the pseudo 2x2x3 block gives you more freedom during block building. With practice, I think this could become a very interesting Lau variant. It may not be the best version of the method yet, but it has some unique ideas, especially around pseudo alignment and EO control. Thanks for watching, and I hope this makes your solving easier.